They thought she was invisible. Until the day she was not. In the sprawling compound of Chief Adegbọla, life moved like a drumbeat, loud, rhythmic, and impossible to ignore. Children chased one another between mud walls. Women argued over spices in the kitchen. Men gathered under the iroko tree, their laughter rising with the evening smoke. In the middle of it all, there was a girl no one noticed. Abeni. She carried water. She swept floors. She served food. And she listened. Always listening. Because while others filled the air with noise, Abeni filled herself with truth. A house full of voices. And secrets. Chief Adegbola's household was not just a family, it was a small kingdom. There was Maid, the first wife, whose authority was sharp as a cutlass. There was Mornike, the second wife, whose beauty drew both admiration and jealousy. There was Baba Sola, the chief's younger brother, always watching the flow of wealth with hungry eyes. There was Mama Kemi, the elderly cook, whose ears worked better than her fading sight. There was Kunal, the stable boy, quick with gossip and quicker with excuses. And there was Saad, Mornike's young daughter, who trusted Abeni more than anyone else. Each of them had something to hide. And Abeni knew it. She saw how Baba Sola lingered too long near the chief's storage room. She heard Mama Kemi mutter, "This house will soon swallow itself." She noticed how Kunal's stories never matched from one day to the next. She saw the way Maid's smile tightened whenever Mornike entered the room. And little Saad told Abeni everything. "Auntie Abeni," she once whispered, "I saw Brother Tade crying last night." Abeni paused. Tade? Crying? That was not something people noticed. But Abeni did. The first crack in the wall. The trouble did not begin loudly. It began with small things. A missing bracelet. A pot of soup that tasted bitter. Coins disappearing from the chief's room. Each time, fingers pointed in different directions. "It is the servants," Kunal would say. "No," Mama Kemi would argue, "it is someone inside this house." Mornike became a frequent target. "She is too favored," Maid would whisper to others. Favor invites greed. The chief grew troubled. Trust began to rot like fruit left too long in the sun. And still, Abeni said nothing. But her eyes missed nothing. The night the compound held its breath. One evening, the air felt wrong. Even the wind seemed to move with caution. Abeni had gone to return a forgotten calabash when she heard footsteps near the storage hut. Not one person. Two. She moved closer, her steps careful, her breath quiet. Then she heard voices. "You must be strong," said Maid. "I am trying," came Tade's trembling reply. "You will do it tomorrow. The herbs are ready. And if father suspects, he will not. The blame will fall where it always falls." A pause. Mornike. Abeni's heart slammed against her chest. "No." Tade whispered. "Yes," Tade replied coldly. "By the time the sun sets tomorrow, everything will be ours." Abeni froze. The world seemed to tilt. This was no longer gossip. This was death. The silence that became a storm. All night, Abeni did not sleep. She sat beside the kitchen wall, listening to the quiet breathing of others. Mama Kemi snored softly. Connell turned in his sleep. Little Sod murmured dreams. And Abeni thought, if she spoke, would anyone believe her? A maid? Against a first wife. If she stayed silent, a man would die, and an innocent woman would fall. At dawn, Mama Kemi found her still awake. Child, the old woman said gently, a heavy heart makes the eyes refuse sleep. What troubles you? Abeni hesitated. Then Mama Kemi added softly, the truth is like a seed. If you do not plant it, it will rot inside you. Abeni looked up. And in that moment, she knew what she must do. When the quiet finally spoke. By midday, the compound gathered as usual. The chief sat beneath the Irako tree. His meal was placed before him. Ayatade stood nearby, calm as still water. Mornike smiled faintly, unaware. Tade avoided everyone's gaze. Connell whispered to Sod. Mama Kemi watched. And Abeni stepped forward. Baba, she said. Her voice was soft, but it cut through the air like thunder. The compound fell silent. Before you eat, she continued, there is something you must know. Ayatade scoffed. Since when do maids interrupt their elders? But Abeni did not stop. The food before you carries poison, she said. And the truth stands among us. Gasps erupted. Chief Adegbola's eyes narrowed. Explain yourself. Abeni pointed, not with fear, but with certainty. Ayatade. And Tade. The world seemed to hold its breath. Lies. Ayatade snapped. But Tade. Tade began to shake. I did not want to, he stammered. And like a pot cracked at the base, everything spilled out. When secrets lose their power. The herbs were found. The plan was exposed. The lies collapsed under their own weight. Baba Sola stepped back, pretending distance from the chaos. Connell fell silent for once. Mama Kemi closed her eyes and sighed, as though she had expected this all along. Mornike wept, not from guilt, but from relief. And the chief. The chief's silence was heavier than anger. Justice came, as it always does. Slowly. But surely. The girl they never saw. That evening, the compound felt different. Quieter. Humbled. Chief Adegbọla called Abeni forward. The same girl who once blended into the walls now stood at the center of the courtyard. You saw what others refused to see, he said. You spoke when silence would have been easier. He placed a string of coral beads in her hand. From today, you are not just a servant in this house. You are its eyes. Little Sod ran to hug her. Mama Kemi smiled. Even Connell bowed his head in respect. Because now, everyone understood something they had ignored for too long. Abeni had always been watching. They had simply failed to notice. Moral lesson. Never underestimate the quiet ones, for they often carry the deepest wisdom. And when truth is finally spoken, no lie, no matter how carefully hidden, can stand against it.